tutorial. This time we're going to be doing the face changing for regeneration. This has been a while in the making, lots of technical difficulties around the way, but I think I've got it all covered. So we should begin just by showing you a regeneration. Alright, there we go. And it's beginning. And you will see, once it's done, that our face will have changed. So yeah, we are now Matt from Sword Team, which is funny, but that's one of the options. This is just a player head. And you can take this head off, and if you really wanted to, you could like place it on the ground and then use it in the Meta Crisis if you wanted. So that's your way of getting heads for the Meta Crisis if you wanted to make a Meta Crisis player. But whether you have the head on or not, you can regenerate again and it'll give you a different head, so I'll just show you that. It says my regeneration failed, but it did not, so we're all good. And who am I this time? This time I am Notch. That's funny. Yeah. Alright, let's go again. Because I want to show you that you can also regenerate with the head on, and it'll also work. And as you saw for a moment there, it looked like the head disappeared. And that's all part of it, because as you see when we come out, we have another face. Now we are John from Sword Team. And I just want to show you that also what happens if you try with a diamond helmet or anything on your head that isn't a player head. It'll actually do something a little different. So let's say you had on your like diamond helmet or something, and then you died. Well, you wouldn't want your helmet to get replaced by something and then get, destroyed. So if you regenerate with something that's not a player head on, it actually won't destroy it. So Creeper, please work. Very nice. And we can even go into our inventory now, and you can still see we still have our diamond helmet, and when we're done, we still have it. So yeah, if you're wearing a helmet, it won't destroy it, but the moment you're not wearing a helmet or you are wearing a player head, it will get replaced. So I'll just show you one last time, and then we'll show you how it works. And there we go. We're now Rainbow Destiny or May from Sword Team. And so yeah, this isn't like, it's not changing your head at random. It's actually like a set cycle, but there is ways to make it a little more unpredictable, so I will talk to you about that. But yeah, let's get straight into it. Alright, so how does this all work? Well, we want to come to our regeneration room, and I've just put this back here, in kind of this back area. So this would have like things like this, which is just the whole timer for it, and this is when the regeneration ends. That's just normal stuff from when we covered regeneration last. The new things will be these here, and this cycler over here. You can see we've got an armor stand, there it is. So we're going to start here with this, and what this is doing, we have repeat always active, executing as regen respawn, if entity at a tag Time Lord scores health 20, deaths equals 1. So that just means if regen respawn, the armor stand exists, and if the player who's a Time Lord with 1 death but a health of 20, meaning they've just respawned from dying and are now basically in the process of regenerating. So if a player's in the process of regenerating, this comparator will go off, and then it'll activate this, and all this does is just executes as face swap, which is the name of that armor stand, at S, run TP 2 on the Z axis, and that'll just move it this way. And so now we need to go over what do each of these do. So once it gets to one of these pressure plates, it'll activate each of these, and these all of these repeat command blocks here are all exactly the same. And what they say is execute as regen respawn limit equals 1. As that S, I guess you don't need that. If entity tag equals Time Lord, deaths equals 1, health equals 20. So again, if you're in that process of regenerating, and it's on needs redstone, so it'll only be powered once it's on the pressure plate, the armor stand is. So yeah, if it meets that criteria, if the player's in the process of regenerating, then it'll activate this command block, which says execute unless that same entity pretty much, except they have anything in slot 103B, which is their head slot. So if they don't have anything in their head slot, then it will run item replace entity, that same player, their armor head slot with a player head, and in this case it's Skull Owner 1WTC. And then basically for all the rest of these, you just copy and paste that very same command, except you're just changing the Skull Owner, and that'll just make it different each time you regenerate. So yeah, here's all our options. And then this is just the end of the cycler. It'll teleport it back to the beginning. And yeah, you can add on to this as many times as you want. And because it only goes back to the beginning once it gets to the end of the cycler, and not when you get to the end of your regeneration cycle, technically it's kind of random because it'll be different each time unless you made like this number like exactly 12 or something. But if you don't, then if you make it like less or more, if you had like 20 or something different faces, then yeah, it'll basically be different with each cycle, what heads you go through. So yeah, there's a kind of an element of semi-randomness to it. It's not like it's exactly the same every single time you go through a regeneration cycle. Like, for example, the second quote-unquote doctor is going to be different every single time, in theory. So yeah, that's the theory. There's an element of randomness to it, and if you did this on multiplayer, then this would cycle every time any player regenerates. So in theory, it would change up the order every time somebody regenerated. So yeah, one issue that comes up is obviously these are testing for unless somebody already has something in their head slot, basically meaning it won't change your head if you had like a diamond helmet. So how did I make it to where it will change your head if you already have a head in your head slot? Well, that's handled by these command blocks here. So this is a repeat always active. It's executing as regen respawn if entity at a tag equals Time Lord, death equals 1, health equals 0. So this is when they've just died but before they respawn, and it's checking their inventory, slot 103B, the head slot, for a player head. So they've just died right before they press respawn. It's testing for if they add a player head, and if they do, then it will run this, execute as that same player with the player head in their inventory. It'll run item replace entity at S armor.head with air. So it'll set their head to air, and then that will mean that when it gets to over here, which is from earlier, this one, if you'll remember, was testing for someone with a health of 20, so right after they respawn. So this will go first because it's testing for the moment they die, and then once they press respawn, this one activates and will then swap their head. So yeah, that basically makes it to where if they have a head on their head already, it will place it with air when they die, and then when they respawn, it'll swap the cycler, giving them a new head. And obviously, as I said earlier, if they don't have a head, then it'll just go ahead and not do this, and it'll wait till you do this, and then it'll go ahead and swap your head. So yeah, hopefully all that made sense. It was a little confusing, but we can run through it one last time, a little simpler. So when you die, you will activate this command block because it's testing for if your health is at 0 and your death says at 1. And if you have a player head at that time, then it will replace that head slot with air. And then once you respawn and get your health back to 20, it will swap the cycler, which in turn will execute if regen respawn and if you are with death 1 and health 20, and it will go ahead and switch your head. So yeah, that was just another quick rundown. And as I said earlier, you can add as many heads as you want. The more the better, honestly, in terms of increasing the randomness of it. But yeah, that's really all there is to it. Surprisingly simple, honestly. But if you have any questions, just feel free to ask me. I'll show you one last time. I'll just die down here. I'll do a /kill. So right now I don't have a head on, but I will be able to, of course, regenerate. And then once it is done, I should have a new head. And as you can see, funnily enough, it put on Tebow 2's head, because that was next in the cycle. So yeah, obviously you're not Tebow 2, so that'll be fine. But you don't have to even put my face if you don't want to. You can, of course, put whoever you want. So let's say we wanted to, make it switch when we have a head on. That should work. And so if we regenerate once more, aha, we are now Chicken Man. Hey! And lastly, we're just testing that if you have something that isn't a player head and is a helmet, then in theory it will not change your helmet. There we go, that has not changed. So yeah, this system is fairly survival friendly, as obviously it won't remove your helmet if you're wearing one, and if you're not wearing one or you're wearing a player head, it will go ahead and cycle through different heads. And as I said, the more heads you have and the more you kind of cycle through it, the more not technically random, but seemingly random it will get. So yeah, hopefully this is pretty decent. This has been Regeneration Face Swapping. I've been Tebow2. Be sure to subscribe, to follow my Instagram, Tebow2YT, to follow my Twitter, which is also Tebow2YT, to join my Discord, and lastly, to have a nice day. Goodbye.